All right, moving into our last type of management, and this is time and priority management, has a significant overlap with self-management. So self-management, I almost think of like schedule management, and time and priority management is like, okay, I have this free block of time. How am I going to use it? Am I going to use it mopping the gym floor, or am I going to use it doing some marketing, or am I going to use it having a management conversation with one of my staff? Like, what is the best use of my time? And so I'm describing this here as the process of planning and controlling how much time to spend on specific activities. And this is where there's lots of gray as a business owner. And there's a lot of nuance and complication. But ultimately, good time management should enable more productivity, should reduce stress, and improve your quality of life. So if you're a business owner that just feels like you're running around with the chicken with your head cut off all the time, that's probably an indicator that we need to make some moves in the self-management and time management side of things to better prioritize what's most important and you not get stuck in the weeds with stuff. It protects what is most important so that you're not just getting inundated in the day-to-day details that feel loud and urgent but aren't necessarily really, really important. And ultimately, time management and priority management supports business growth. And that's really what we need to return to over and over again when we're feeling like we're getting pulled into the weeds. So how do I manage my time? Where do I start? If you feel like this is an area of weakness for you, we've got a template that I'm going to share with you in a second for managing and tracking your priorities. And so step one is just to set clear priorities and stick to them using a consistent prioritization tool or tracker. Regardless of the tool, we're going to give you one, but whether you use ours or you use your own, you need to set clear priorities and stick to them on a regular basis. And it's that level of intentionality we've talked about a bunch of times that makes this effective. So in setting those priorities, we want to centralize all the tasks and responsibilities you have on your plate for the week to be able to see all that could fall on your plate and take time away from you and your day, right? We want to capture recurring daily and weekly tasks plus one-off tasks and meeting to-dos. So we're centralizing and putting all of this in one place so we can see everything that could potentially come up and take away from our time. And then we need to keep our goals top of mind so that priorities are made priority. I've used the urgent versus important metaphor a few times. It just really resonates with me. I'll briefly show you guys the Eisenhower matrix. That's the basis for that, but regardless, we just need to keep our priorities priority. And that means keeping our goals the lens through which we measure how we spend our time or what's a good use of our time. And so I recommend using our priority tracker. It's a good place to centralize all of what I just mentioned. And so this is a pretty version of our priority tracker. This is an old tool we created. We have made this available in your lead tracker in Campus. So you guys have already had access to that since, I believe, our marketing week content. And so housed in that Google Sheet that's specific to you, you'll also have access to our weekly priority tracker where you can add things like your rocks, i.e. your goals, the due date, the status of them, next steps you need to take that week, what metrics that you'd like to keep top of mind. Metrics you're trying to keep top of mind in the week, recurring responsibilities that you have. So they're things that like you have to do every single week. And that's just part of being a business owner or being a business manager. You've got meeting to-dos, so you can capture those things after your team meeting. If you have 2 to-dos from that, you have a place to go and write it down, and it's top of mind, and you're visiting it multiple times a day. And then you've also got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a full days or a week's breakdown of where those tasks should fall and what you're prioritizing. And basically centralizing all of it is kind of the first step to doing this well, and then keeping track of those things over time to see, have I really made a lot of progress on this project, even though I've said it's a priority week after week. And tracking these things and how you're spending your time is a great place to start with this. And so that's the template that we've given you that's housed in your lead tracker. You guys should all have access right now, and you can check it out when we're done with our course. So this is the Eisenhower matrix that I had mentioned before. It's just a framework for thinking through what is urgent versus what is important in your schedule. I could probably spend a half hour talking about this, and I'm not going to do, but I think it's really, really helpful to have some kind of framework for weighing. Is this something that's just loud and demanding of my attention, but it's not necessarily impactful on the long-term health of the business? Or is this something that's absolutely worth my time? And in fact, this is the thing that I need to be spending my time on as the business owner or the leader or the manager of the business. So knowing the distinction between those two things and being able to discern between them even when you're stressed, it's a skill that needs honing and we all need practice with. And I like to use this because it helps me think through where something truly falls. I'm not just letting my feelings dictate how I spend my time. If something feels urgent, then I just want to attend to it right away and get it off the list. But that's not necessarily a good use of my time. And so the Eisenhower matrix basically breaks it into 4 quadrants where urgent is on the x-axis and important is on the y-axis. So when something is important but not urgent, so there isn't necessarily an immediate deadline, but it is important and worth spending my time on it, I need to decide when I'm going to do it and put that in my priority tracker. I'm documenting that. I'm holding myself personally accountable, and I'm like formalizing that. I'm not just leaving it casual, right? If something is both urgent and important, it's time bound, and it's important for the business's long-term health, I'm going to do it immediately. That's when something is truly a priority, and that should be documented as a part of my weekly kickoff, weekly wrap-up, and on my priority tracker. If it's not important and not urgent, it's either a do it later or delegate it to someone else to do it later. And then if it's urgent, but it's not necessarily important to the long-term health of the business, and it feels more of like a task and less impactful, then that's something that we should typically delegate to somebody else. It's not a perfect system. We can't always do that with urgent but not important tasks. But in general, we need to get in the framework of thinking this way so that we're spending our time on the things that only you as the manager, only you as the business owner can do. The rest of the things that are not specific to your position often can be delegated, or time is better spent somewhere else. And so I like this. Don't have to use this, but it helps me get my mind around urgent versus important and where my time is best spent. So I like to share it with you guys.